Borough of Belmar and the Asbury Park Press, December 30th, 2015. Notice of this meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Belmar.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember our troops who brought their families to their home, and also two Belmar residents that we lost recently, Mario Pesapane and former Commissioner Joseph Henry. Thank you. If the council don't have the mask, we have a presentation of the employee of the month. So everyone knows we do an Employee of the Month here in Belmar, and our February Employee of the Month is Patty's Weird. Patty got this because she went to the polar plunge but was smart enough not to actually jump in the water. Patty has worked full-time in the Borough of Belmar for 18 years. Patty is a dedicated, loyal, and hardworking member of the Borough Hall office. In addition to managing all of our purchasing, she does all accounts payable, vendor certifications, compliance, tracks all beachfront revenue, that's a lot, and is a registrar of vital statistics. So if you want to get married, you go see her. And then you see me afterwards. When it snows, Pat is the first one in the office to ensure that borough services are available to all our residents. Patty loves Belmar. You can always see her walking up on the boardwalk as well. And is always helpful, courteous, polite, and adds a dash of elegance to the borough team. She is elegant, right? Yes. And after Hurricane Sandy, Patty managed a tripling of our normal requisitions and contracts. Think about all those contractors, all the debris removal, everything we had to go through. Well, she had to still manage it through the typical government process. So let's hear for our she also gets a Belmar bucks to be spent in Belmar, $100. And courtesy of our business administrator, she gets a cool Belmar hat that says Employee of the Month. And we're going to put her picture up on the sign. Not the part that's broken. You know, because we'll miss like part of her jaw. So we're going to put it on the other side. And if you have any more snowballs, you can throw snowballs. But Patty, would you like to say anything?
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a presentation from our Belmar Women's Club.
All Rosemary's, the three of us.
How are you doing? He's doing well, guys.
The Belmar Women's Club is a member of the New Jersey State Federation of Women's Clubs, so we go back a long way, and in fact, our Women's Club is celebrating its 100th birthday this year, and so is the library. So this is really appropriate. After Sandy, the State Federation offered grants to help libraries, because they've always been dedicated to education, and they established a lot of libraries over the years. So we were able to get $2,500 to help the library, and they have a special thing they want to buy with, so you can tell. There you go.
Rosemary.
Well, we talked about this a lot, and we thought about what we would do with this very generous amount. And one of the things we thought would be very good was to replace the conference room table and chairs in the media room, especially since the Women's Club and Book Club always made such good use of it. So the thank you from the library is not only for this check, but also for the friendship and the relationship, the partnership we've had with the Belmar Women's Club for all these years. And I think we both look forward to continuing that friendship and relationship, especially during this 100th birthday for both of us.
Right, got a lot of
Thank
things.
you.
Thank you, ladies. Rosemary wants to say something.
Yeah, other
I just want to give a shout out to Larry Tormey, who was helping us with the grant. He was our grant writer. And Ro Korblack was just incredible, getting us all the statistics that we needed. And we want you to know that actually the National Federation of Women's Clubs gave us this money, but the State Federation certainly supported that, and we'll let them know that we got this. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Can you say?
Make sure we get her picture before she leaves, please. Thank you very much. We have some more special presentations, but our Grand Marshal and Deputy Grand Marshal for the St. Patrick's Day Parade aren't here just yet. They may be en route, so we're going to just push that off and get right to our workshop. As long as council's okay with us going back to the special presentations afterwards. So first on our workshop is Carl Kemp to talk to us about revaluations in the borough of Belmar.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Carl Kemp, as you may recall, acting as special counsel for,
I don't know if they're on there.
Not our clerk for a little while.
Yeah.
when I stand in the audience.
No, that's right. Just council.
So, I'll speak louder if you can't hear me, I'll speak up some more. So I've been acting as special counsel for the borough in regard to the revaluation order. The borough received the revaluation order from the Monmouth County Board of Taxation, the Director of the Division of Taxation, the state in 2012, ordered a revaluation to be accomplished and to be effective in the 2013 calendar year, which is rather impossible to change and do that much in a year. Just briefly, the county and the state monitor the differential between the tax base and what it's selling for. And when that gets out of whack, that's a legal term, they order a reval to bring everything back into line. The decision was made by the administration that we should appeal that because the time frame wasn't right, and it was also, we were looking to see if the economy returned and then hopefully bring the ratio back up and avoid the need for revaluation. Those issues haven't panned out, but the division did realize the time frames are much too stringent to perform it. There's a lot of work that goes on before actually the reval companies go out and look at the properties and put a new value on them. We have to redo our tax maps, those have to be submitted and reviewed and approved by Trenton. We have to go through the process of finding a qualified company. There are certain ones that are approved by the state to do the evaluation, things of that nature. So the upshot is I'm here tonight to present the settlement that has been proposed on the state, which is that we will undertake the steps for the revaluation starting after the council approves the settlement, and the revaluation will go into effect for the 2017 calendar year. So most of the work that the public will see and that you folks will hear about from the constituents will be in 2016. Towards the middle of the end, they will start going around to inspecting different houses. They will send out the notices towards the end of 2016. They have the meetings here for all the people who want to talk about the proposed assessment and things of that nature. What they propose is very reasonable. Again, in litigating, I found no way to overcome the reval order itself. There is an in-between stage where you can say, well, there's a certain area of town, a certain class of properties, like commercial or a certain size property that's creating the issue, but that's not panned out. So basically, we have the town-wide evaluation on that, and as indicated, the time frames are reasonable. That's that, although that is long-winded, that's it in a nutshell. Certainly, I'm here to answer any questions, detail you may have. on the process of where we are, where we go from here.
And again, this is is it considered a court order?
This one, yes, a good question, Mayor. This will be considered and actually not, it will be a court order, but it will also be considered a order from the Director of Division of Taxation, County Board, so that the town can amortize the cost of the reval over a 5-year period, as opposed to paying for it in one calendar year. So there is a benefit there as well, that we maintain that ability to write off the cost. It's not overwhelming, but it is substantial.
And I know we discussed this, but in your legal opinion, there's no way we can put this off, there's no way we can win fighting this reval, it is what it is, and
Yes, that's correct. In reviewing this before we decided to file litigation, as well as once we had it, we did retain an appraisal expert to help us look at the numbers and stuff, because it is a lot of number crunching. Like I said, they monitor the existing costs, the existing sales, the existing assessments, the differential between the two. If certain properties have turned over more than once within a time period, they analyze those, and the numbers are what the numbers are. But again, we were also looking too if there's a class of property or a specific geographic area that is causing this. None of those are panning out. So again, legally, there's no way to end run the revaluation or get it, the next step down to reassessment. And so that it is legally required at this point. And again, I believe the proposal and the timeframes are reasonable.
So this is actually good news for the property owner, is that not correct?
It's good news in that there's more time to have this done. It will be effective 2017, so people can know what's coming, as opposed to a one-year turnaround they had before. And then again, it will create everyone to ground zero, so to speak, town-wide as far as assessments, because the last assessment was in the mid-90s. So it will reassess everybody.
And what triggered this?
As indicated, they monitor the difference in the sale price of a property versus what is on the township's books or the borough's books for assessment purposes. And when those start getting out of whack, and also look in more detail, then they determine, okay, you need to reevaluate this, they're not in line with the real market.
When did that happen?
They made that determination in 2012, and they had given us the order at that point. And then we looked at it, thought it was better to look into it. They hadn't given a lot of detail. So we litigated it.
Whose choice was to litigate it?
I had discussed it with the administration, the mayor, the administrator, the township attorney, the borough attorney, sorry, keep saying township.
They said, fight it.
They said it was worth it for two reasons. One, the quantum of information wasn't there for us to make a reasonable determination as whether a reval was warranted. And two, the time frame to have it done was unreasonable. So at least for the very reason, I always hate to litigate for the purpose of stalling and getting time, but it was, even when we followed it, we had the first conference with the judge said that's how we're supposed to do this in a year, that's unheard of.
And also it's important to note that this is a mandate by the county. So this is certainly not something the Borough of Belmar wants to do. The tough thing about revals is typically you have winners and typically you have losers. So some people's taxes may go down, some people's may go up. It has nothing to do with the borough government. I think in a lot of cases, or in this case, we fought it because we didn't think it's required or necessary. But it's something that is now court ordered and we're obligated to do.
And there wasn't one, the last one was in the 90s? I feel like there was something like mid-2000, 2004. We've had one since I moved here. I moved in 99, and they came through at some point after that. I think 04, 05 was ours.
You're right, actually.
Possibly. I'm not
That's
sure.
right. It was in the early to mid 2000s.
Okay, just
So-
curious on that.
So that was the last time, again, with the market the way it was, it was started spreading out from that revaluation forward. And again, we were hoping with the market coming down and then coming up a little bit, that it would level the numbers out when you look at it globally, but it hasn't. So again, the legal requirements are there for the revaluation.
Okay. Thank you.
Will they come to each house, or will they just go select certain houses that were up for sale?
No, they are required to make an effort to go to every house in the town. I think they have to do two visits to each house. If they can't get inside to make an inspection, they will view whatever records are available. We'll look at the existing tax files, we'll look and see if there's any construction permits pulled. to get an idea of how the interior is. Because again, you could have you can take two condominiums, it's always easier to think of those. They're identical, but one folks may have the upgrade, they got the fancy bathroom, and they got the marble countertops, and the other folks decide to have the basics. So those little differences will affect value, so they do have a requirement by state law to go at least twice to make an effort to get inside, otherwise they do an exterior visual inspection, and look at whatever records are available to arrive at their value.
And you can appeal their,
Yes, that's correct. There's actually two venues for appealing. Property owners will get a card in the mail that will give them their proposed new assessment before it goes into effect. That goes out sometime, I believe, in October or November of 2016. When they get that, there'll be a date and a place. Usually we hold it here 1 or 2 days, and they can come and meet with the reval company and discuss any issues that they feel wasn't considered at arriving at the value. Whether, again, say folks are running vacation the 2 times they came, and the reval companies are very good about saying, okay, we'll make an appointment to come look at your house, or they overlook something, they mismeasured something. Any of those reasons, the revaluation company will consider those, and they do have the ability to change the revaluation before it's finalized in 2017. The second avenue is once the revaluation goes into effect 2017, you can also bill your taxes just like you can any other year. So there's actually two avenues. The first one's not a technical appeal, but people think of it in that fashion. It works for them.
And historically, how often in the past have they done revals?
Like I said, I think there was one in the 90s, sometime there was one in the mid-2000s. It really, again, they look at the numbers and they track the differential between the assessed value and what they're selling for. And when they get out of that quarter of 15%, and there's some other ratios, they really fine-tune the numbers. When there's about 3 or 4 numbers they look at, and when they hit the requirements, then they order the revaluation.
So not every 10 years or?
No, it's not a specific time frame, you have 5 year, 10 year, it's just where the numbers go, they go.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, so
Appreciate you
we'll
coming over.
continue, I'll get a copy of the order, I'll get it signed and distributed to the court, and I'll send a copy to Colleen and any assistance you need in getting these moving, whether not just, moving the numbers before. All right, thank you, council, I appreciate your time, have a good evening, hope to see you.
We do have one more special presentation, so if the council coming up today is for our Grand Marshal of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, John Sheridan, if you come on up. So here's our proclamation, I'll read for you. Whereas, on March 2nd, 2014, the Belmar St. Patrick's Day Parade will celebrate its 41st anniversary, and whereas the Belmar St. Patrick's Day Parade Grand Marshal John Sheridan and Deputy Grand Marshal Mary Kenny will lead the historic event down Main Street in Belmar, Lake Como and Belmar. Whereas Grand Marshal Sheridan and Deputy Grand Marshal Kenny have demonstrated consistent and admirable service to Belmar and the Irish community, and whereas the Belmar St. Patrick's Day Parade marks this time honored of Belmar tradition and the honoring of our Irish heritage, John Sheridan and Mary Keenan selection as Grand Marshal and Deputy Grand Marshal for the parade celebrate the strength and honor of Belmar's Irish leaders. And whereas the Borough of Belmar wishes to recognize the Grand Marshal and Deputy Grand Marshal for their service to our borough and the Irish community. Now, therefore, be resolved that Mayor Matt Doherty and members of the Belmar Council hereby extend on behalf of all Belmar residents sincere congratulations for their designation of Grand and Deputy Grand Marshal on this historic 41st anniversary of the Belmar Lake Como St. Patrick's Day Parade. We have Chip Cavanaugh with us too. He can come on up. He's the chairman of the parade. He does a tremendous amount of work every year to make sure that this thing gets pulled off. Rain or shine, sleet, cold, whatever it is.
It's gonna be warm this year, I promise.
But Chip's promise it'll be warm. But John, if you'd like to say a few words as the Grand Marshal?
Myself, my wife's down there in Miriam, Mayor Owen Henry from Aldrich came up with us too, so thank you for coming up today, Mayor. It's a terrific honor, being a young lad coming over here from Ireland many moons ago, in 1987 to be exact, to be honored like this. Matt, I thank you so much, fellow councilwomen and men, thank you so much. It's a great honor, and I couldn't be more proud as an Irishman. So thank you very much.
These are the two plaques that hang in the Borough Hall.
Okay.
One of them got lost in the construction,
Okay.
so I had it remade, so
Oh,
they
great.
can get put back. I put them today at the plaque place, so
Excellent.
I brought them so you can rehang them back in the Borough Hall.
Excellent. Excellent.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Let's have everyone for Chip.
Thank you so much.
And also leading up to the parade on Saturday is the, I want to say coronation.
Oh, the Festus Mass?
Yes, the Festus Mass.
St. Roses,
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, so if you want to come, they have the whole bagpipe and drums come in and play, and there's nothing like a whole bagpipe and drums.
It's a beautiful mass, yes, it's a beautiful mass, so I'd highly recommend you come down, it's
It's all in Irish.
Oh, no, yeah. Mr. Bobby Byrne will be singing there, so it's fantastic, it's really nice, and the bishop's coming too, so I highly recommend if you could, if you have some time, come down, but come early to get a seat. And we're gonna have excellent weather on St. Patrick's Day.
Councilwoman Nicolay would like to know when the Czechoslovakian parade will be coming out. For all three of them. I also want to thank Mayor from Old Ridge for coming. Thank you, Mayor.
Anytime, Mayor, thank you. I like on this side better.
God bless, thank you.
Next on our workshop discussion, yard sale permits.
So,
Exciting topic.
yes, I meet weekly with our code enforcement officers and ask them for suggestions, things that they identify out there on the street that can help them do their jobs better, or just kind of generally help the town. They've made a recommendation that Belmar is one of the only towns in our surrounding area that doesn't actually require a yard sale permit. And their recommendation is that we consider one. Not knowing how we have felt about this historically, I thought it good to bring to you and have you guys discuss it in workshop and see if you want us to look into it. Surrounding towns charge anywhere from $5 to $10 per permit and allow 2 yard sales a year. Presently, we don't charge anything, and you can have 50 if you like to every weekend. Code enforcement have offered that it really is a tool in their toolbox to kind of identify who's having yard sales, what's getting put out, make sure that it's not an every weekend occurrence and becoming a nuisance to people's neighbors. I asked if this was an overarching problem historically, and they said there's 1 or 2 properties in town that this would help them to address. So, didn't know if you had all discussed this in the past or how you felt about it.
We already discussed this.
No, we never discussed it. I'd like to limit the number, because I know you're right about some people having too many. I'd hate to put a dollar figure on a permit, you know, when people are trying to sell their junk.
Yeah.
So I would just like to be able to keep track of it and limit the number of garage sales, yard sales, whatever they want to call them, so it doesn't negatively affect the neighbors.
And by junk, Council President, the Mayor meant valued
Valuable
possessions.
things.
Well, what one person's junk is another person's treasure, right?
That's very true.
I agree, Councilman McGovern. I think if we would charge, I would actually lose money by yard sale. So, but I don't think it's bad for calling to get a permit or to stop it and get a permit and set up.
Correct.
And along with that, something that I've seen, not only in this town, other towns also, there will be signs that are up from 2 weeks ago. It would be nice if these signs were required to come down within 48 hours.
That's something that we can inform them about and enforce when they sign up for permits.
That's good.
What about people that just put an item out on their lawn or by their,
And hope that
for
somebody takes
sale?
it before the garbage
That
dump.
would be considered, because sometimes they'll put
Right.
one big item with for sale, but it's gotta be like a true
True yard sale. Otherwise, we would address that through other code measures. So,
if they do not get one, what happens? Say, no, it doesn't spread.
if they do not get a permit, you know, we're out pretty actively, you know, special officers officers are aware, police officers are aware, and if there is a problem, they notify the codes department. So, you know, we would develop a mechanism, not unlike other permitting activities that we have in town, so that, you know, we have access to the file of who's permitted, have a yard sale, whatever.
I'm just wondering if people aren't aware that they need it and they have one.
We would do an information, and typically with code enforcement and a lot of these issues, when we know that there is a new thing being introduced or a new enforcement of something, we like to give plenty of notice. So we certainly would be looking at, you know, ticketing and fining people on their first time out of the box if they didn't know about the permitting process.
And for the weekend, the yard sale weekends, just all permits will be waived.
Yes. For the townwide yard sales.
Got it.
When do our code officers work? Because most of these yard sales are on weekends. Do our code officers?
In the summer, we work a lot more on the weekends than we do during the winter months.
Okay.
But generally, our guys are also in town, they're around. And so if they see something again, you know, they can typically address something if it's particularly egregious. Okay, so not opposed to the idea, but would like it to be a no-fee permit. And we can clean up some rules and regulations to set some parameters around it. I like it. Thank you very much.
And we'll take that up at our next.
Yeah, I can introduce some modifications to the ordinance then.
Last thing I had on for workshop is our redevelopment plan. Belmar came up with a redevelopment plan back in just 2003. It's 2014, and much of the plan doesn't make sense anymore. It's arguable if it ever made sense. The plan itself is predicated on, you know, a master redeveloper. Included things like the use of eminent domain, and it also looked to transform the area into a New England fisherman's village. I don't know what a New England fisherman's village looks like, but that's certainly not what our town looks like. Now, we've had some success the last 3 years, including buildings like 8th and Main, Hayes and Hamptons, and what we've done at the marina. But that was only through modifying and changing the redevelopment plan. To do that, we gotta make the suggestion. It's gotta go to the planning board. Then the planning board has to okay it. Then it comes back for first reading, second reading, and it's an arduous process to change it. And again, the only development we've had is through changes to the redevelopment plan. So if you look at what the goals of this redevelopment plan were and what it accomplished, you know, you got to be honest with yourself and say it was a failure. It didn't work. So what I'd like to see us do as a community is throw it out. Get rid of this plan and come up with something brand new. You know, some of the things that are restrictive in this plan make it difficult for developers to develop. There are so many things prohibited that it's more of an anti-development redevelopment plan. So the way I think would be best to move forward is to create an advisory board, much like we did with the beachfront, of residents and include in that business owners. Now, when I think of business owners, I think of, you know, the ones that are big property owners. The Repetti property, if you know where it is on Route 35, that's everything from the Belmar Motor Lodge to the water here. The people that own the Belmar Mall, another very large property owner. And if you remember, there were multiple court cases, one with Freedman's and one with the Belmar Mall. Both court cases, Belmar lost. That at the time cost us tens of thousands of dollars. So what we'd like to do, or what I think would be a good move forward, is to create an advisory board that would come back to the council with suggested ideas. So they would look at the plan, meet with the planner, meet with the engineer, listen to developers, listen to other property owners, and recreate something. Now, take some parts of this that are good. So in other words, one of the parts that we utilize really well are the pilots, payment in lieu of taxes. That helps the redeveloper, and it's a benefit to the town. But some of the other things where there are requirements for things like Victorian-looking turrets. And the only turret I can think on Main Street in the redevelopment zone is Federico's. And if you look at the new development, you know, none of it looks like that, because that's not what builders want to build. And if we want people to truly develop their properties, we gotta work with them in more of an open architecture scheme as opposed to design guidelines that are designed to prohibit people from developing. I think we make this committee maybe 9 to 11 people. I would ask for input from the members of the council if they have any suggestions on who they'd like to have serve on it. I'd also open it up to anyone else. You know, if you want to serve, again, I think if you go beyond 11 people, it starts to get a little out of hand. 9 people's probably the right number. We could push it to 11, but probably keep it 9. But if you're interested in serving on it, email me. Very simple email address. It's just mayor@belmar.com. If you don't have email, you can always contact Borough Hall and give them your name and information and say that you'd like to serve. At the same time, if you have ideas, let's say you don't want to serve, but maybe you know about another town and what they did, well, email me that. And you know, we'll put all this together, all these new ideas, again, taking some of the portions of the old plan that made sense, and come up with something new. Now this is going to take a while, because we want to do it right. So what I'd like is to have that advisory board, for me to recommend to the council at our second meeting in March, which should be plenty of time, and then maybe they start meeting in April. You know, I think it's going to take at least 6 months, maybe 1 meeting a month, meeting with engineers, architects, developers, residents, to come up with some advisory ideas for the council. So now you're probably talking the end of this year, going into next year, before we really come up with a new plan. You know, I think we leave the designation where it's at, but you know, maybe now's the time to increase the scope of the designation. Again, these would just be ideas that the advisory board would consider, you know, talking with existing property owners, the businesses and developers, so that we have a new redevelopment plan moving forward, one that encourages development as opposed to one that we continually have to change just to get something done. So for the council, just start to think about people that you'd like to see serve on this. I don't think, maybe we'll put 1 member of the council, you know, we'll consider that, but we want to really focus this on the property owners. I don't think we put any developers on the advisory board, but certainly take their input, because there may be a conflict since they want to develop in town. And again, we'll look to have that put together the second meeting in March. And that's all for me on the workshop. Any other workshop items from any member?
Matt, can I just talk about that? I think it's a great idea. I think it's over 10 years old, we gotta look at it. But I was around for that last, and it was chaos at times. I mean, this room was so packed with I think the word was charrettes. They were charrettes. I don't know what a charrette is. Then we had to move it down to Taylor Pavilion. And there were so many different factions of how the town should be redeveloped. I think we have to sit down very together and talk about who we want on there. I think we want architects, we want engineers, like you said, people from the zoning board, people on the planning board, people who are dealing with this so they can go through what's on the ordinance. If we just throw it out to the general public like they did for the charrettes, I mean, that's one of the things that really slowed down the redevelopment last time, the number of people that had an opinion in what direction this should go. And, you know, it was not a fun time, really. It got so involved. But I totally agree, we should look at the redevelopment, because I'm on the planning board, and yes, some of the things that have developed at the marina and over here, we've had to adjust so that these guys can, put a shovel in the ground and start developing properties. I mean, the planning board in the last month approved the restaurant over here at the marina because of some things we changed. Greg Capalco and Brett Uruzzi are going to be knocking down the ice house soon because we got some changes there also in the redevelopment plan that was passed years ago. So it needs to be changed. How are you going to get a committee? That's the gorilla in the room, you know?
And I think you make a good point of having professionals on, but I think we also need to include some just members of the public. And we have, again, I think if you go beyond 11 people, it'll start getting hairy.
I still think 9's a lot. You know?
Yeah, nine is the current planning board. But yeah, I think 9 would be, I think that we could fit in enough professionals, a couple members of the public.
Then I'm afraid it could get political. Someone that we kept off might feel as if it was a political snub, and that could just slow this down entirely. I mean, I would really hope to get people on the committee that are just looking for the betterment of Belmar and the development of Belmar can put their ideologies to the side before they come to those meetings and look at what changes need to be made. And not get, because if you're only taking 9, I'm sure you're going to have more than 9 people that want to sit on that board.
And that's why I think, that they meet publicly and they take information from developers, but also take information from residents. So they'll have an opportunity to advance their opinion. But again, if you go past, 9 or 11, it starts to get on.
Yeah, but there's some good people on the TDRC committee, the planning board, the zoning board, other people that around town are architects or engineers and developers, just Belmar people that want to see the development of the town go forward instead of turning it into a political back and forth arguing, why wasn't I put on, or why wasn't my friend put on, or something like that.
No, we certainly don't need that.
Can I ask a question here? The Seaport redevelopment plan, I mean, that's where we're sitting in now, basically. Is that the plan, or you're talking about the whole town, rezoning the whole town?
No, the latter.
Just the Seaport area?
Yeah.
And cleaning it up and getting rid of some rules?
Well, no, I'm suggesting throwing it out and starting over. Taking some of the good aspects of it, but have a brand new redevelopment. One that encourages development as opposed to, like Councilman McGovern said, run a planning board. Someone wants to build 40 feet 5 inches as opposed to 40 feet. We gotta redo the whole plan. And the reason why they have to build that is different elevations, a lot of things have changed since this plan was put into effect, particularly having a master redeveloper. It's just not gonna happen. The use of eminent domain, we'll completely strip that language out completely. And move forward with a different plan and even tap into what other towns are doing. There are other towns that may have done a plan in 2011, 2012 that have new ideas on redevelopment that would be worthwhile for us to look into. But any other workshop discussions for council members? No? All right, next is our petitions. Any petitions for the mayor? Let's have reports of the council. Council President, Brian McGovern.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'll try and go through this quickly. I just want to report on a fundraiser for Corinne Wankowski at the beach on Sunday. It was a polar plunge that her friends, the lifeguards, put on. Corinne was a Belmar lifeguard probably for more than 25 summers. She's saved many swimmers. She was a former Olympic swimmer, but last year she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So on Sunday, there must have been 250 to 300 people that went in the water. The water temperature is 34 degrees. air temperature 20 degrees, wind chill factor in the teens, snow on the beach, and it was extremely, very, very successful. It brought Corinne to tears. She was very happy to see that. And I will say, Matt, even though you weren't here last week when I signed you up, Matt did come down in a bathing suit, went in the water, got wet, went underwater. Proud of you. Good job. I did mention that the planning board within the last month did approve unanimously 2 developments going on, the new restaurant at the marina and the what's called Loco over here at the Ice House. Loco wants to be up and running for this summer, similar to what is happening at the 9th Avenue Pier. So that means that Ice House has got to be coming down very soon. So that's a good thing. Again, something close to me, I was watching television last night, Notre Dame women's basketball, one of our players there, Mikhail Mabry, was on there, hit a couple 3-point shots, scored 10 points, but she missed the shot at the end of the game. She had made it, everybody in the arena would have gotten free hamburgers. If they had reached 88 points, they had 87, Mikhail missed it.
What are stats? What's their ranking now in the country?
Notre Dame right now is 24-0 and number 2, only behind Connecticut, and they're playing Connecticut very soon. It should be a great game. I do want to say that unfortunately Joe Hillman passed away. His wake was today. I did go to the wake. I talked to his daughter Elizabeth. Lizzie's doing well. She's going to finish out school this semester. She continues. She plans on finishing her senior year next year. Joe's dog Riley is being taken care of. The 3 cats are questionable. Lizzie can't take them because she's allergic to them. I do want to mention also, if you've noticed in Belmar, we've had snow the last couple of weeks. I want to throw some things out to you. We've had 7 major snowfalls in the last 2 months. We have used 450 tons of salt. It's a good thing we did because in those 2 months we have had 133 first aid calls. So without the good job of the DPW plowing the streets, those first aid calls would have been maybe not as successful getting there. Motor vehicle accidents, 61. I'm sure a lot of those accidents were due to the ice, but it would have been probably a lot more than the 61 if, again, the DPW had not done such a good job. Sometimes I wake up at 2:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and there would be a plow outside going past my house. I mean, kudos to your guys there, Mike. They did a great job. Our 2014 DPW snow removal costs to date, $63,475. Our normal budget for a year is $63,000. So we have gone over it. Last year, we only spent $22,041 on snow removal. So obviously, the amount of snow we've had has pretty much put us in a position where we have to spend all the money that we have budgeted for. And it's hopefully there's no more snow to come. And that's basically my report there, Mayor.
There you go. Councilwoman Teal Blackburn.
On January the 31st, the senior movie and the group chose Las Vegas. Everyone had a wonderful time. The next movie is the 28th of February at 1 p.m. in the community room. So if you're a senior, and Ray Claudio does not check IDs, so even if you're not a senior, you're more than welcome to come to the movie. The group picks what you're going to be watching. I spoke with the resident who came to the council meeting last meeting and complained about the dogs on the beach. I spoke with her. She's very pleased. The police have been on the beach and she sees quite an improvement down there. So thank you to you and your officers. The Historical Society meeting last week, they reported that the DPW is moving along somewhat faster than they expected with their office and their building. So they expect to be in their new museum shortly, very shortly. Sunday's polar bear plunge. I was one of the smart ones. I was on the beach with clothes on and stayed away from the water. But Brian mentioned Matt going in. Brian also was in a bathing suit and taking a dip in the ocean.
You didn't get that on camera, did you?
We won't
And he had a
discuss it.
black tie on.
Three Stooges.
I do have to compliment the first aid was there in force. The lifeguards were out in the water, making sure everybody was okay, and the Coast Guard was out there with one of their cutters, making sure that everyone was okay. It was fantastic. The senior luncheon is tomorrow in the community room, and the Belmar Women's Club will be speaking. And right after that, the gym will be open for senior walking from 1 until 2 in the afternoon. The gym is open Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 1 till 2 for anyone who wants to walk, and that's going to continue until the 20th of March. And April isn't here tonight, but her birthday is Thursday, so Colleen, would you please tell her happy birthday?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Meade.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, any update on the gift cards that you can tell us?
I'm still on the investigation, so it's being done.
Thank you. 2 Sundays ago, my son is on a disabled hockey team, and they had the Winter Classic at the Avon Pine. Mike Seebeck was there helping. The Belmar Women's Club had knitted scarves for us, and they sold out. And it was green and white, the colors of the brick team. And I just want to thank, from the Beam family to the Belmar Women's Club, thank you for the scarves and all your work. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Nicolay.
Department of Public Works, basically, all we have to say is snow, snow, snow. They've been extremely busy, obviously with everything pertaining to that, and we want to thank them. It has been tremendous how you've kept the streets clean. Belmar Arts Council, the BAC's annual Jersey Shore Juried Art Show, JAS 10, is coming up in March. The judge for the show is Margaret O'Reilly, Curator of Fine Arts at the New Jersey State Museum in Trenton. This is the 10th year of the show, and the Belmar Arts Council is 10 years old. I'm a member, and it's a tremendous asset to the community. The shows that they have, the exhibits, the people involved, it's all volunteer, and it's really tremendous. So please try to attend or visit the shows when they're there. Planning is now going on for the Belmar Art Walk on Sunday, April 27th, so please mark your calendars. April 26th, the day before, the BAC is dedicating the new train station mural, which will be installed as soon as the weather becomes more better. And then we've heard spring is supposed to be, so hopefully it's not too far off. The Belmar Elementary School is proud to announce that the 3 distinguished staff members received the following awards today. Monmouth County Superintendent's Support Personnel of the Year is Mrs. Mary Downing. I cannot live without this woman. She keeps my kids in line and gets them their lunch when I forget to bring it to them. Monmouth County Superintendent's Teacher of the Year is Mrs. Jane Prevo. New Jersey State Department of Education Teacher of the Year nominee is Mrs. Melissa Murphy. The Manasquan High School will be meeting with the 8th grade students on Wednesday to review freshman orientation and class scheduling. Family Fun Night, organized by the 8th grade students to fundraise for them, is Friday the 21st at 6:30. It includes games, refreshments, and a family movie. And again, all the proceeds go to the 8th grade trip. Belmar Chopped Contest is being held Wednesday the 19th, at 6:30. Mayor Matt Doherty is emceeing this year's contest, sponsored by the school's health council. The student chefs were asked to create their own salads to promote wellness, and he will judge them. How are you doing that? Because I don't eat.
I'm not MC, I'm not going to judge.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe you were judging. Okay. And yes, and I do want to congratulate both of you for the polar plunge. I don't like the water temperature in July, so kudos to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to publicly state that Brian McGovern is no longer my friend for signing up for the polar plunge. Look forward to bringing him up on ethics charges for his abuse of power while I was absent. I got to tell you though, the turnout for this event was remarkable. And I'm not sure if Brian noted what the temperatures were, but the air temperature was 20 degrees and the water temperature was 34. And there were countless people that showed up for it. And it showed up on a Sunday of President's Day weekend when you know, most people are on vacation somewhere, so I think it showed a tremendous amount of community spirit. I want to echo the comments regarding our Department of Public Works. As you guys may know, I have a newborn, so I am up in the mornings at 2:30 to 3 feeding them, and we can hear those plows. They're just going constantly. One of the things that we have been and will continue to contend with are potholes. Some of these can be pretty dangerous, whether you're in Belmar or outside of Belmar. The road surfaces have just taken a beating. You know, the next couple of weeks, hopefully we get a little reprieve. But if you know of massive potholes or anything dangerous, please contact Borough Hall and let us know immediately. Our Department of Public Works is great, but they can't be everywhere at every time. So when you let us know about it, we'll be able to put it on the list and try to address it as soon as possible. But potholes are probably going to get worse before they get better, just because of weather. Lastly, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I do understand that there's an investigation regarding gift cards. And the person who handled it was Kelly Williams. Now, between gift cards and grant money, Kelly's distributed over $415,000 in private donations that were accepted by the borough and then distributed to families in Belmar in need. The other amount of money that was distributed that we don't count, we don't factor in, is all the donations we had in the gymnasium for the weeks after Sandy. And Kelly is a remarkable employee. We are lucky that she works here in the borough of Belmar. She shows significant initiative every day. But I can tell you, because I was here, that during and after Sandy, she was a remarkable employee who was fully dedicated to helping people in Belmar. I think any insinuation that she did anything inappropriate or improper is completely out of line, and I believe that at the end of this investigation, it'll be shown to be completely false and meritless. At the same time, we do partner with the school, and we gave them thousands of dollars in gift cards to distribute how they wish. Just like I don't micromanage Kelly, she doesn't micromanage once we hand out gift cards. You know, we most recently received 2,000 or 1,000 Hess trucks from Hess. We gave them out to families we knew in town, and then we gave them to schools, and we gave them to St. Rose. We didn't ask who they went to or how they got there, we just trusted they went to the right place. We gave them to towns like Seabright and Highlands and Union Beach. We didn't ask for who they went to or why they went to those people. We just trusted in our partners that they went to the right spots, the right places. So I can tell you without a doubt, Kelly is a phenomenal employee, and she certainly should not have to go through any type of accusations that are not based in fact. And I'll tell you, one of the things that was upsetting to me was that it was reported in the Co-Star as if the allegations had some type of merit and didn't show anything else except for that. So I hope that once this investigation is completed, and I believe it will show that Kelly did everything right, that the Co-Star will spend as much time repairing Kelly's character in this community. Because again, we're lucky that she works here. She does a great job, and I think she's emblematic of the rest of the employees here in the borough of Belmar. So I see Kelly's in the back. Kelly, I want to thank you for your service every day to us here in Belmar. That's all for my report.
May I respond to that or not?
Sure.
We have it on tape. Nobody made any accusations anywhere. I just had 2 pieces of paper that were fact and gave them to the chief and asked him to investigate. That's it. It's all on tape. You can go back and watch it. No accusations, no finger pointing, no you did this, no you did that. That's all.
That's not the impression I got that night. I clearly, and I sat in the middle, I clearly believed that you were accusing Kelly of misappropriating thousands of dollars. Now, what you say you said and what we heard might be different, but I came across that you were accusing one of our employees without it being fact-based, and I said that you should have handled it differently and gone to the administrator and the police chief on your own to get the facts first before you come to a public meeting and say what you said about a public employee. What you said, fine, maybe you believe you said one thing, but I heard something different, and I'm sure everybody out in the audience probably heard different stories aside from that. That's why you don't do it in a public forum.
Well, Councilman McGovern, we can go back, we can watch the tape, and we can
Good.
look at the words. So I encourage everybody to do it. And I think the Post-Star reported very fairly what went on at the meeting. So
And
go
all I
back
know
to
is,
the tape.
with those from press reports, I haven't looked at any, I wasn't here, but I will tell you from the questions from the report of the Post-Star, it certainly came across as though that there were an insinuation that one of our borough employees misappropriated and acted improperly. And I agree with Councilman McGovern. And the frustrating thing is, instead of, you know, if this was a real legitimate concern, you know, why wouldn't you talk to Kelly privately? Why wouldn't you talk to the administrator privately? Why wouldn't you talk to the chief privately, as opposed to ambushing all three of them in a public setting?
So if I'm to understand this correctly, what I had to fight a year for in court, in the Oprah court, I had to fight a year to get these records. I'm now supposed to go to them and go, hey guys, we're buddies, let's go over this information.
Yes,
After I had
yes.
to fight for them.
Yes, that's what you should have done.
Well, first off, you didn't have to fight for them. You could always gotten them.
That's incorrect.
Nope, we told you you could always gotten them.
Well, the court ruled in my favor, Mayor.
It's extremely, extremely unprofessional, what you did.
You didn't watch the tape.
Well, I'm telling you from press reports.
Are you surprised that the Post-Star slanted it in a
I don't think it
negative
was slanted at
forum
all.
towards us?
Watch the
The
tape,
Post-Star
everybody.
always goes negative against Belmar.
Don't let's take on
Don't you,
opinion.
Haley?
Please watch the tape, everybody. Make your own decisions.
Yes, you do.
Well, point being, Kelly does not deserve to have, to be ambushed at a council meeting. No borough employee deserves to be ambushed at a council meeting. If any member of the council has any concerns about anything in town, I would encourage you, if it's a serious issue, to address it as soon as possible with either the administrator, the police department, Department of Public Works, or social services. But the only reason to come out with it publicly before addressing it privately is to ambush somebody. And it's not professional, it's not worthy of a member of this governing body.
Mayor, if Kelly's telling the truth and the school's telling the truth, as I believe they are, then the middleman was the problem, and that's why I asked the chief to investigate. Nobody's accusing anybody of anything.
Who's the middleman?
She handed those cards to somebody. That isn't who I got the information from the school for. So I'm not a detective, but I start there.
Okay. Well, I think it's disheartening that 15 months after the worst natural disaster our community suffered, and the way we came together, that a sitting member of the council would ambush borough employees who were dedicated to this town and dedicated to helping the residents of this town.
15 months is how long it took me to get those records from the court. Unbelievable.
Could I understand you just wanted to make a point? That's all for our reports. Next, approval of the minutes.
I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 28th, 2014 be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second, oh, no, I can't second.
Is there a second?
Second?
Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Delay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Abstain. Next is public session on the resolution calendar. If anyone has any comments, questions on the resolution calendar, please raise your hand when you can call out and come up front and pretend the microphone's working even though it's really not. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Ted Eman, 1218 Oakwood Road. I have a question and a comment. question is, I noticed on the bill payment list is a very good and prominent architectural, landscape architecture firm, Melillo and Bauer Associates, $94,880.49. Just curious what they were doing this plan for, what parcel, what area of the town they were doing the landscape architecture design for.
Sorry. They were the architect who designed the boardwalk area, and the Cleary Park. I'm sorry, not the Cleary Park, Silver Lake.
All right. So they're just getting paid now?
Yes.
And the other is just comments. I noticed that there's a resolution asking for a consultant, Megan Downey. And I checked her resume, and again, I've been in business, and I used to hire and fire people, look for and consultants, all kinds of things. And a consultant is a specialist who gives expert advice and information. And I looked at her resume, it was very limited. And in a key area, the limitation happened to deal with business administration, municipal. And I noticed that the agreement states that such functions are responsibly related to services performed on behalf of a municipality. So municipality is a really big thing. And I mean, I went on record last year, I didn't like the fact that we hired a consultant to back up Billy Young, who also didn't have municipal experience. And we seem to be having this thing where, we don't advertise. I know our borough ordinances ask for that we hire people from within. I mean, and if I had known this job was open, I would have applied. I'm much more qualified than Ms. Down, and have a lot more experience. But I didn't see it advertised, and I didn't see the last consultant job advertised. So I'm really concerned about a pattern of hiring people who lack the very essential thing. First I look at the coursework, and the coursework should say business administration, specifically, and municipal being a big plus. Now, I can't believe that there aren't enough people graduating from our esteemed colleges, especially in New Jersey, with business administration degrees, and who have had 1 or 2 or at least 3 years in municipal work. So maybe we would have to go outside of Belmar and find somebody, but at least it would be municipal experience. And I just think that I'm seeing a pattern here, and I don't like it. I just want to do my opinion.
Sure. Seeing no other, I'll make a motion to close the public portion for the resolution calendar.
Council President, is there a second?
Second.
Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
I have a question. What are we doing the resolutions all at once?
This is just closing public session.
Oh, yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. First resolution is authorizing the payment of bills list. I can vote on this, correct?
Yes.
All right, I will offer move for adoption.
Second?
Offer.
Oh, sorry, yes, thank you. Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. The next resolution, I must recuse myself.
Yes.
Step off the dais.
Is there a motion to? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
A second? Second. Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Next resolution, appointing and confirming an architectural design firm. I'll offer move.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Can you just explain real quick, do we ever have one before while we're doing this?
Colleen, you want to explain?
Sorry, my notification. Mr. Duty.
And this is the same architectural design firm that did the marina. No? Not,
This is Mielo and Bauer. They designed the boardwalk. They are a landscape architect. They also did the design for the really lovely landscaping at Silver Lake. That will be more apparent in springtime. They were a subcontractor of Birdsall Engineering. And as a result of Birdsall's bankruptcy, Miele and Bauer was never paid for their services. These are services that were rendered, done really excellently. I think that's exhibited in the look of our boardwalk. Their costs are included on our project worksheet with FEMA. So these are legitimate costs that are owed to this architect. And unfortunately, they were kind of bound up in Birdsall's demise. So what we are doing is suggesting that we contract directly with Miele and Bauer, establish them as a professional contract, and pay them for their services as rendered. We would then deduct that amount from Partner Engineering as the firm that acquired Birdsall's receivable book. So that amount would be deducted from anything that Belmar might eventually owe to Partner Engineering. This is essentially a mechanism to pay an architect for work very well rendered, and it is work that we have accounted for on our project worksheets and expect to see you come back to us at 90%.
Does this expire at the end of the year, like, we always renew our?
Correct. Yeah, this would just be for this year, pretty much for this one invoice.
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next, I'd like to offer a resolution awarding contract for consulting services.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Bean?
We used to pay Robin Kirk, I think $30,000 a year to be our borough administrator. We took that away from her, brought in, actually Bill Young at $97,000. Then we got him an assistant, and then Bill left, and our assistant took over, and now we're bringing another assistant. Can't we just tell Robin not to do, I think we're getting, what, $30,000 from Spring Lake to be their CFO? Is that correct? Can't we just cancel that contract or let it expire and let Robin be the assistant or the consultant? She did it for years. Any thoughts?
No.
No. We just gotta hire somebody. 48,000. No, I'm voting no.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes, in explaining this, this is not hiring an employee. This is a contract for a consultant for a 6-month period at $4,000 a month. So the total cost is $24,000. It's a 1099, which means you don't pay any health insurance, you don't pay any pension, they're not in a union, and at the end of 6 months, their contract expires. We're going to have measurable items for this woman. She's overqualified. My probably biggest concern is that she's going to leave during that 6-month period because she's going to find something better. Sheila's going to do an outstanding job for us. We have a lot going on, and this is a way that we can address a lot of things that are kind of getting held up without having to hire someone that you would have for the next 25, 30 years on your payroll, paying pension, paying FICA taxes, and everything else that goes with it. So this is what people do in the private sector. We're going to take those same applications and bring them to the public sector. Yes. Next is our consent agenda. I'll offer a move for adoption of consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Bean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes, and one of the highlights on this consent agenda are agreements with our collective bargaining units, PBA 50, CWA 1075, CWA 1032, and Belmar Supervisors Association. This may be the first time in a long time where we have 4 contracts executed without arbitration, without going to court, without the expense of lawyers who are underpaid, I'm sure, but and everyone across the board gets an annual salary increase of 1.5%. Obviously, the people who work here wanted more than that, but we think 1.5% is a fair number given today's economy. So I'll vote yes on that. Next is our or ordinance calendar. First ordinance is ordinance 2014-1, an ordinance amending supplementing chapter 40, Department of Finance and General Ordinances of the Borough of Belmar pertaining to section 13, receipt of bids. This is more commonly known as responsible contractor language. This is another one, again, I wasn't here, but kind of shocked by some of the questions I got from media about this, that this was a union bill. And you can read this backward, forward, up and down, you'll never see the word union in it. It has nothing to do with the union. Also, that somehow this was tied into my wife Maggie, which is beyond bizarre. But you know, when crazy accusations are made, I get calls from the media who are just reporting on the meeting that happened the day or two before. But just to clear that up, it's just nothing to do with unions, and has everything to do with operating in the construct of public bidding. So in other words, we have to accept whatever the lowest public bid is. Whether it's $1 under or $100,000 under. What this does is it levels the playing field to assure us that whoever we do choose will be in compliance with the regulations that the state sets. So we don't have some people bidding that aren't compliant and some people bidding that are, because if you are compliant, you're going to bid higher than someone who's not, someone who's gaming the system. Now, one of the changes, based on some feedback I received, was to add language to this, and I ran this past our attorney, Bill McGovern, no relation to Brian, regarding a line in section 1, C 1A. And the language that's added, I'll just read it. So it's A, the provision of satisfactory evidence by the bidding entity is that it provides or participates in the apprenticeship and training program approved and registered with the U.S. Department of Labor Bureau of Apprenticeship and Training, as well as a benefit configuration being no less required under the New Jersey Prevailing Wage Act. What is added is, or the bidder certifies that they will not pay any less than a journeyman's rate as defined by the New Jersey Prevailing Wage Act. The reason why we added this language was because there are some contractors who are very good contractors, who have very skilled employees, and they compensate them for their skills. However, they don't necessarily have that apprenticeship or training program. So since they don't have it, they shouldn't be, we as a town, shouldn't be excluded from being the ability to utilize them and having them bid. So it's a very minor change, but it'll help draw in some more contractors who are responsible, but may not have necessarily that apprenticeship or training program. So this is now open for public hearing. If anyone has any questions, comments, please raise your hand. Wait till we call it. Yes.
David Shack, 302 C Street. I don't want to belabor this. I wasn't even planning on talking about this anymore since I gave my opinion the last time. But the thing that, you know, all my crazy small town conspiracy, all this crazy nutty stuff, you just pull that out. But my primary objection, you just got rid of it, because that was my primary objection, is that you would only give contracts to companies that participate in an apprenticeship, and now you just inserted language into the bill that would enable companies that don't participate in such a program to still bid, right?
So we listened to you, right?
Thank you. No more, that's it.
Okay.
Yep, Tom.
Tom Billberger, 1000 River Road. About this, your second paragraph there, it has I agree with, first of all, I agree with Dave.
Which paragraph?
That would be the second whereas.
Okay.
Third line, use the phrase fraud and corruption. Any type of this ordinance or legislation always leads to some sort of fraud and corruption. It's, as I said before, an equal and
So sorry, where do you see
opposite
fraud and corruption in the ordinance?
Well, I'm just saying,
Oh,
if,
okay,
if
okay.
and when you pass this, it will lead to fraud and corruption somehow. Because somebody will try to get a leg up. Yes, you omitted the idea that they must have an apprentice program, which is good, of course. But in the same token, it will be sort of like a feather in the cap if they do. That will be taken into consideration, of course.
No, it's not taking consideration. Remember, under public bidding laws, we have to take the lowest bidder.
Well, I'm just going, exactly. But there are always,
So in this case, if the lowest bidder has an apprenticeship training program, they're good. If the lowest bidder does not have one, but still adheres to other guidelines, they're good.
I
So it's not,
understand
no
what
one has
Dave
one
just
leg
said.
up on another person. No, it doesn't favor one business over another.
There is no reason for this council to act on this because there is state and federal legislation already covering it. This is just more and more opportunity for fraud and corruption. You're making a situation that doesn't have to be. All I'm saying is, turn this down. There's plenty of legislation, ordinances up and down this country. Look at the type of people you're involved with here. The Internal Revenue Service, a good group. Department of Labor, another good group. And my favorite of all, Occupational Safety and Health Administrators, as we all know, OSHA. Probably the worst type of people since Al-Qaeda. And these are the people you want to be involved in?
They'll keep more involved in
Please turn this down. Just vote no. You don't need it. We have plenty of legislation already in place. Thank you.
Mike Seebeck, 110 Second Avenue. Good evening, everyone. I want to echo what Dave and Tom basically said on this ordinance. Basically, in all the time I've been coming here, I've never heard a complaint about contractors doing work in town. In fact, I've actually heard the exact opposite. That particularly you, Mayor Doherty, have been proud of the work that's been done. And at the last meeting, I introduced the fact that it's not our job, and it's not what I perceive to be the job of the council to train people. You know, the contractors are out there, they're hired, they have to bring in qualified people, they have to pay prevailing wage, and we have to accept the work in order for them to get paid. To echo Tom Dilberger's statements, there are plenty of laws and bidding requirements that are already in place. This seems to be very interesting in terms of timing, given the fact there's been no precedent of dissatisfaction with contractors. There was one situation that Councilman McGovern pointed out, a dispute with the contractor, but we ended up being on the wrong side of that. The contractor, by a court challenge, prevailed. So I can't understand why this council is really bogging down, as Tom Dilberger correctly pointed out, the whole process with unnecessary language, given the fact there's been no precedent for it.
Well, I respectfully disagree. I don't think it's getting bogged down. I think this will make us have better contractors. And it's, you know, one of the things every contractor has to do in a public job is submit certified payrolls. And we've had a contractor who gave us certified payrolls that don't match up with what the project manager saw when he was there. So the project manager is our person, is the borough's person, usually through the engineering firm. And then the contractor is obviously the contractor. And there is discrepancy. I explained this, and I'll tell you, I explained this last, or however many weeks ago, to the reporter who contacted me on this. They just chose not to publish that as part of the report. But no, that's not true. We've had a problem with a contractor. We've submitted it to the Department of Labor for them to investigate whether or not they were paying prevailing wage, because they gave us a list of people that does not match up with the list of people that were supposed to be there per our project manager who's out there looking out for our interests. Now, we've never had this problem before. You're right about that. But we want to make sure we don't have this problem again. And this is the type of language that will ensure that we have good, responsible contractors.
Mayor Doherty, your example is post-award problem. Anyone we hire could decide not to pay someone or have payroll discrepancies, which upon investigation, we can find no match. This is the bidding process. This is the selection. This determines who are potential contractors in town that come to this town to bid. And as a council, I would imagine and I would hope that you people are acting in our interest in out bidding, getting people that are qualified to get the lowest bid, competent bid to secure the work. So what you just gave us an example of what happens after the fact. It can happen with anybody. This is not part of that process.
This type of ordinance helps weed that out.
How does it weed it out?
Because it ensures that they either have a training program or they agree to pay a journeyman's rate or better.
What's the difference between a journeyman's rate and prevailing wage? Who
Journeyman's
sets the
rate is
journeyman's rate?
The state of New Jersey does.
Excuse me?
The state of New Jersey does.
Sets what rate? I thought the state of New Jersey said prevailing wage.
The prevailing wage is an act, and there are different levels within it, and they set what a journeyman's rate is.
They set what a journeyman's rate is. How is that calculated? And again,
I don't know, you gotta contact the state.
Well, okay, but again, we can hire, every construction could have not paid people what they were supposed to pay them. It wouldn't have changed the awarding of the contract. What I'm saying is that if we're doing things in our bidding process that limit the pool of bidders coming to town, only people that are gonna be hurt are the taxpayers. Because it's gonna reduce the pool of bidders, it's gonna complicate and unnecessarily reduce potential contractors, guys like Mark Wojak, who's done tons of work in town, Precise. You know, prior to this meeting and this new language that I just found out about tonight, they were not part of this program. They would not have been bidders in this town. And these are the very contractors you spoke very highly of. And that's why I think that this bill is completely unnecessary. And I'm probably over my 5 minutes, so I'd ask the council to vote this down.
Thank you. Any questions on Connie? Like to-
Kind of orders 1,000 Humane Street. Brian, I know you for 40 years. I don't know any of this for 30 years. That's it. I believe your tax being because.
Connie, this is on the ordinance. This is on the ordinance. This isn't public session.
Oh, I thought you said public.
No, sir.
No?
No, ma'am.
So we're not be able to say.
In a little
Because
while,
that
I'll let you know.
misunderstood.
I'll let you know.
We
I'll
can't
let you know.
do the right
This is
thing.
on
Not tax
one
people.
particular ordinance, is a public hearing on just this one.
Mike?
You already, wait.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
excuse me, I didn't know there was somebody else wanted to speak on, actually.
Ted Eman, 1218 Oakwood. You know, on the ordinance, doing my homework, I noticed that there were, and I know that our business administrator mentioned several municipalities that have an amendment similar to this added to their responsible bid ordinance. So I thought I'd call them up. And the one I got through to was South Brunswick, and the person who has Patty's lease shop over there, the director of purchasing, was very much against it. He was very resentful that he wasn't involved. Even asked about it prior to the elected officials passing the amendment to the resolution. And he said all he could say is that this guy's been a director of purchasing for South Brunswick for many, many years. He said, all I can see is a lot of lawsuits. I'm not one, you know, I like trailblazing, you know, but, you know, what is said earlier is that we do have a pretty good law that's on the books dealing with responsible bidding. We have, of course, most municipalities per square foot of any state. We have 565, and only 2 have passed this amendment before Belmar, and only 1 did in a resolution form, which was New Brunswick. So that's that's less than, was that 1/3 of a percent, 0.03 something, of all the municipalities are even interested in this. So I think that pretty much gives the voting record, that's my.
All right, Tom, one more bite at the apple.
One more time. You just used the term, Mr. Mayor, you just used the term, journeyman rate.
Yes, sir.
What's the journeyman rate?
I don't know,
What do you use the term for?
because that's the language of the ordinance.
Who makes the journeyman's rate?
State of New Jersey.
Say again?
State of New Jersey.
The state of New Jersey makes a journeyman rate for a trade?
Yeah,
Really?
under prevailing wage.
Is the journeyman rate all the same? Is it the same for an iron worker and a mason or a bricklayer?
My guess is it's not.
No.
My guess is, yeah, it's not.
So where does the state get the journeyman rate?
It's not a journeyman's rate. What you're talking about are unions, correct? Correct?
Of course.
Okay.
What is the state talking about?
This is not a union bill.
Oh, yes, it is.
No, it's not. What the state's talking about is prevailing wage. Now, if you want to look up the act, you certainly can,
Oh, you're the one that brought up the term, the journeyman rate, not me.
because that's the language that's in this ordinance.
Good. I didn't see it.
That's part of the.
That's what I read out loud.
What's it down here? Tell me.
C1A.
C1A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down.
Fifth line. I don't see fifth line, no. All right, I believe it's there.
Wouldn't lie.
Say again?
I wouldn't lie to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, journeyman's rate, but that's not you. Please turn this down, it's ridiculous.
Thank you, Tom. You said that already. Mr. Hughes.
Michael Drews, 1211 16th Avenue. Maybe I can help you out a little bit. I used to work for the Department of Labor. I used to work for the workplace standards and for the Division Bureau of Statistics, which helps set prevailing wage. And what it was, they take certain economical and
No, address
Can
the
you hear
council.
me?
No, address the council.
I know.
Come
but
near the mic, please.
Address the council.
Okay.
They take certain geographical areas and based upon job descriptions provided by LBS, Labor Bureau of Statistics, and they take what is being paid for both union and non-union journeymen, those that are skilled in the trade. They decide what is a base rate for a journeyman to get in that geographical location for various titles, from anything from bricklayers to laborers to iron workers to dog catchers. They have it all for everything. They've got, 22,000 various titles. So whatever title you can come up with, they get your prevailing wage for the area. The other thing I was going to mention, what this does, your other change, allows those companies which have apprentice programs and training programs to pay below the journeyman level to those employees who are in that trade and learning the job with their first year students, second year students, third year students, fourth year, or journeyman, or how many years it takes you to become a journeyman. So in some cases, it would benefit the borough to hire somebody with a training program, because the employees, if they get somebody that will not get the journeyman rate, but will get what student rate they're at.
But wouldn't that be reflected in the bid?
No.
Their labor costs would be reflected at a lower cost.
Labor costs would be reflected, but whether or not they want to bid it at journeyman level or at apprenticeship level is up to them.
Right, but then.
They have the choice.
But then we still don't need this. They could still bid it lower
They
without.
have an approved program. And if they don't have an approved program according to this, then you get the journeyman level.
So you're saying that without this, people or companies that have the apprenticeship program can now lower.
Approved apprenticeship program.
And without this, they would charge us the higher rates, even though it could cost them the bid.
Yes.
And there's,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Matt Ashford. Sorry, Tom.
One more time, we gotta get up.
No.
Yes.
I wasn't gonna say anything until you brought up the aspect of
Just name and address for the record.
608 10th Avenue, Thomasburg, the concept of apprenticeships. I went on the internet this morning and did a lot of research on cost-benefit analysis of apprenticeship programs in the construction industry, and there's all kinds of information out there. One of the things on apprenticeship programs that drives the cost back up, if they could pay a lower wages, you have to have much more supervisory people on board. You have to have training programs that give administrative costs. And most of the information that I found on apprenticeship programs actually increased the costs of this type of program. In fact, some of the research shows that it increases as much as 18% the cost of goods.
Thank you. Yes, Brad.
Brendan Reed, 109th Avenue, apartment 2C3, Belmar. I'm speaking in favor of this ordinance, and for this reason, there's two definitions of word responsibility here. First definition is to the public first. The second definition is to ensuring that the work is done not only to a high quality standard, but it's also done safely. Safely, not just to the workers who are performing the work, but also to the public, to the borough employees who are affected by the work. And I'll just give you just one brief example. I used to cover the electrical contracting industry quite a number of years ago. Was an editor of an electrical safety newsletter. I'll just give you one statistic that shows the importance of having responsible contractors, responsible bidders. And that is, it just takes 300 milliamps to cause a heart attack. And 300 milliamps is only a fraction of the current that it takes to trip a household breaker. Therefore, I want to see where they were doing electrical work and all sorts of work for the borough, for the people of Belmar, done responsibly. Thank you.
Yeah. Just name and address for the record.
Yep. Tom Beverly, 609 15th. So I was at the last meeting, and there was definitely a lot of discussion, and I went home and Googled responsible bidder, and it turns out that it's very common across the country, maybe not necessarily in New Jersey. And what I did notice that's in most of the other ordinances, and that's not in ours, is some other stipulations around it that, you know, like a limit for dollar amount or estimated man hours where this then kicks in. So that's the only observation that I had that may need to addition to this.
If I make a motion to add those stipulations, how would I go about doing that? Let's say that we put a dollar amount in here, so any contractor above a certain threshold that this would apply to.
Well, the state statute covers the dollar amount, so that wouldn't be necessary in the ordinance.
State statute covers the dollar amount. What state statute?
The local public contracts law.
What's the number?
I think it's $21,000 that has to go out to bid.
And also for emergency work, you know,
Sure.
but, I mean,
The numbers that I was seeing-
I'd rather just keep it the way it is, and if by chance we find out that we have $50,000 contracts, which we really don't, I mean, we're not a big town, but we have decent sized contracts.
Most of our bidded work is over 200.
Yeah, it's over 250, it's not.
The numbers I was seeing were like 400,000, 500,000, and then this sort of thing kicks in.
Right, well, it also depends on the size of the municipality, if you're talking a large municipality.
Like Cincinnati Water Works Department. So it was just something that was not in.
Gotcha, we appreciate the suggestion. Seeing no others, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council President McGovern.
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackford. Councilman Bean.
I just have a question, Mayor, I still don't understand. I like the language on the second sentence you added, but by law now, whoever bids for, for a contract, do they have to pay the New Jersey Prevailing Wage Act as of right now? Is that law?
Correct.
So basically, we have a contractor that broke a law.
We have a contractor whose certified payroll is matched up with what the project manager had at the time.
And how would this have changed him getting the bid?
Well, if he underbid because he didn't pay prevailing wage, this would have, he would have been compelled either to have an apprenticeship program or to pay at a journeyman's rate, which is higher than, as Bruce pointed out,
But it's the
than
law.
another contract.
But it's the law now that he has to pay that rate, correct? Even if he underbid, by law, he would still have to pay this.
Correct.
Councilman Bean?
Yes.
If you look at C1A, if you look at first paragraph, number 1, that indicates that the borough will do business with people who are properly registered and authorized to conduct this type of work. You see that?
Right.
Subsection A simply says that a means of showing that somebody is properly registered is through one of these other items that are listed in A.
I get.
Did you follow me?
I do.
So this one type of proof, one of these 3 things would be offered during the bidding process, and then the responsible bidders would be locked into whatever information they provide to the borough. So in the example that you're talking about, the bidder, if they provided a list of individuals working that were being paid the prevailing rate, there would be a record on file with the borough as to who should be on the job site, and it would give the borough employees supervising that site the proper paperwork to do their job. Does that make sense?
So you're basically saying that they would have to show you the paperwork up front of what they're paying their employees, so that after the bid is done, or after the bid is won and completed, it would have to match.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if they chose to provide the New Jersey Prevailing Wage Act information to prove that they're properly registered, then that would be part of the bidding process.
And they don't have to do that now?
They don't have to do that now, correct. The way the state law reads, the state law says that throughout the state, contractors have to comply with what is essentially the umbrella of the state laws, and then it allows each municipality to draft local ordinances to effectuate that law. So this ordinance is allowing Belmar to put certain tracking devices on responsible bidders.
And by the way, if the state ever does change it, it would just, if they would change it.
Well, right, the state doesn't get into this level of detail because they want all municipalities to come up with a scheme or a structure that works in their municipality. So there's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
And I apologize for clarifying, this is just to close the hearing part of the vote. Yes. Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes, I'll offer a move for adoption ordinance 2014-1.
Is there a second? Council President McGovern?
I have much more confidence in a company that has a program that trains their workers and pays them prevailing wage and are registered with the state. So I can't see how this is a problem. So I'm definitely voting yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
I agree, and also, I look further down the road to our children and grandchildren. If these companies have an apprenticeship and a training program, then hopefully in the future, our children will be learning something and have jobs. Yes.
Councilman Bean?
I look at this as competition brings down prices. The more bidders we have, the better price we're gonna get on the end product. And this is weeding out those bidders before they even get a chance to bid. So I think higher, less competition, the higher the cost is gonna be. And we have performance bonds to make sure the work is done correctly, so you can't say that because the apprentice, because they have an apprentice program, they're gonna do it better than if you don't. I see this as just raising the price of all of our contracts, so I'm voting no.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next is first reading introduction, ordinance 2014-2, an ordinance amending supplementing chapter, 31? Housing and property maintenance. 26. No. 36. No.
XXB,
Yeah.
20. XX, 10, 20.
Oh, sorry. 26, housing and property maintenance of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of Belmar, the County of Monmouth, New Jersey. This is for first reading and introduction. Do I need a second for it?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Let's do it. Why not? We're not voting on it, we're just introducing, correct?
Well, I think we
No,
can
and
vote-
then
we
we
can
vote
vote
to
to-
introduce.
yeah, well,
Okay,
so call the
sorry.
roll.
Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes, next, first reading introduction, ordinance 2014-3, an ordinance amending supplementing chapter 28?
Yes.
Bureau of Fire Prevention of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Belmar, County of Monmouth, New Jersey. This is regarding smoking, carbon monoxide updates. So, I'm offer, or introduce first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next is ordinance 2014-4, an ordinance amending supplementing chapter 5, Department of Public Safety of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Belmar, County of Monmouth, New Jersey. This is regarding police in town. I'll offer for first reading.
Second. Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. And the last ordinance on for first reading introduction is ordinance amending supplementing chapter 40, developmental regulations and revised general ordinances of the Borough of Belmar and County of Monmouth, New Jersey, to amend section 7.24 signs. I'll offer for first reading, and my comment on this is going to be, you will be hard pressed to find any business in Belmar that does not currently violate our existing sign ordinance. Our existing sign ordinance is a no sign ordinance. So this rectifies that, makes sense. We talked with folks in the business community about this, and it's overdue. We probably should have done this before. So I'll offer for first reading.
Second. Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keon Blackburn? Councilman Dean?
Well, number 17, it has the graphics content shall not exceed 60, then you have in parentheses 80%.
Yeah, it's going from 60 to 80.
I think it's increased to 80.
And also, the 118 has 8 instead of 80.
Okay, thank you.
But yes. Yes, I vote yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. That's all for our ordinances. Tonight, we have a special hearing on our special improvement district, their 2014 budget. Who will be presenting for the DVP? All right. Just coming forward, address the council, state your name and position at the BVP.
Tom Marchese, President of the BVP. You all have been presented a budget packet. And Jennifer Clay has been notifying you monthly on our updates and progress. We have a reduction in budget, and I hope to have great successful year this year. Thank you.
Thank you. myself, you don't mind saying, any questions or comments from the council on this hearing regarding their budget? All right, now, do we vote on the budget tonight? Like, would I make a motion to approve their budget? Or do we need to put it into a resolution form to approve it?
I would think it would need to be a resolution.
Okay. Because again, it's kind of odd, because we do a resolution calendar before we have this public hearing on it. Can I make a motion to introduce a resolution approving their 2014 budget? Or should we wait till the next council meeting?
I think you should wait for the next council meeting.
All right, so we'll wait until the next council meeting to vote on the budget itself. But you obviously gave us the report. The report's online as well?
Yes.
Okay. And the website, if anyone's interested, is BelmarBusinessPartnership.com. All right. Well, I guess we'll take comments from the public. But again, we'll probably
That's fine,
take
it's listed for the public hearing.
right. But I guess we'll take them again when we have it on for a resolution, because we put a resolution calendar as well. Correct?
So, can I ask, are the charter boat captains part of the SID, or the Chamber of Commerce?
I think they were chamber at one point, but God knows what's happening with the chamber. Are they part of us?
Because there's so much work being done at the marina, does the Belmar Business Partnership include them?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Actually, I believe that was excluded in the formation of the SID. I'm Gail O'Reilly, I'm the treasurer. I was not part of the formation of the SID. So now, and I believe that the charter boats were eliminated by the governing body during that formation process. They're welcome to participate as a volunteer, but they are not part of the revenue base. Okay.
And they don't have voting, they don't vote on your members either. Now, one thing that was brought to my attention, are you guys missing a public member right now? Resident?
A resident.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm somewhat unrelated to your budget, but if you guys could find a resident to put on the board. I know it's a non-voting member, much like Councilwoman Nicolay, who sits on the board as a representative of the governing body, non-voting member, just to fill that spot.
Sounds good.
Resident?
Yes, sir, you had a hand up, you come up front.
I was asking if we would be speaking.
Just come up to the front, please. So this is over the public hearing, but again, this is the public hearing on it. But since we're gonna have to have a resolution again, there'll be another public portion just for any other resolution. So just come up front and just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Robert Harris, 711 13th Avenue, Belmar. And I was here last year discussing the SID, and you all passed it. And I think the SID can be a positive thing for downtowns. I have a building in Freehold, and they have a SID, and they do seem to help out some of the businesses, mostly restaurants. It seems that, in just my opinion, that the board is going to pass it regardless, but one of the things that concerns me is that you're taxing or assessing all commercial properties a certain amount of their tax bill, but yet they don't receive the same benefits and sometimes none of the benefits that some of the other properties are receiving. For example, Main Street gets flowers and Christmas decorations and lights and benches and bicycle racks, and where my property is located, I've paid over $4,000 thus far, and I had to ask for 2 Christmas wreaths, which is about $2,000 a piece. And I just feel that if I would have any input, I think that if you're going to tax someone or assess them, equally, you should also distribute equally. Because I see it as almost income redistribution. Another concept which I brought up was the buildings that would see the most benefit from the assessment, such as 10th Avenue and Main Street, would pay 100% of the assessment, and perhaps someone like myself along the railroad tracks in an industrial area would pay less. Well, what they did is they told me now that they're assessing 50% on the other side of the tracks. So for example, Belmar Motel, who I think receives more benefits than I certainly do off of this SID, is paying a 50% assessment, plus these other businesses. I'm being assessed 100%, over $4,000 thus far, again, as I said, and I've gotten 2 Christmas wreaths, which, by the way, I had to ask for. So I think that if you're going to take a man's money or a woman's money, you should also give them something back equally. You cannot favor certain businesses or buildings in the middle of town. I also think that with the same concept, for example, on 10th Avenue, I call it ground zero, receives the most benefits. Maybe you can assess them 150% and assess me 25%. I have no problem giving. I want this town to prosper. I give to donations. I give on my own. But I just don't feel that someone should tell me, a government body, who I should give to and spend my money. I'm a successful businessman. I've made good decisions. I don't need somebody to tell me how to wash my windows, how to dress my windows. If you go by my property, you'll see that I keep it in very nice condition with my own money. I don't want your money. I just don't want you taking my money. And that's all I want to say.
I would
Before
tell you
you sit.
that this governing body doesn't decide how the money is allocated, and we don't decide how it's assessed. That's left up to the Belmar Business Partnership. All we do is either approve or not approve the money. That's it. So your concerns, I hear you, and you do run a great operation. I know you donate space to the St. Vincent Paul Society.
We take care of everybody that we possibly can.
Look, it's a small town, we know how well you do. But my point is to talk to them about it.
I have.
Ours is simply an up or down,
I understand,
up or down vote.
but it's in the budget, and it just comes down to a tax. So when I suggested to them last year, to the gentleman that used to run it, and I explained to him, and I don't want to use the word fair, but that is, how do you take money from the lumber yard, or from me, a warehouse building, or from the sheet metal guy, and take their money and my money and just spend it in one area? So all they did was now say, okay, you're on the wrong side of the track, so I missed out on it. It was my suggestion, and I think they still need to revisit it. I have no problem. I probably wouldn't be here if my assessment was 50%, but I just gave a check for $1,900, and what am I getting for it? I want to ask, the SID now, what have they done for me in the last 3 years? What have they done?
And I know that they held a public on it. I'm not sure if you will attend or not, but I would encourage you to reach out to them. Not that we don't want to listen to your concern, I'm just telling you, we don't have the capacity to address them. They do. So you can make your case to them, and you're right, you're right against the railroad tracks. On the other side, it's 50%. Where you are is 100.
And all the bed and breakfasts are 50%.
Correct.
And they certainly receive a better benefit. Not that I want you to raise them, but they get a better benefit than I do.
The reason why bed and breakfasts are different is because they're based on residential taxes, which is much higher than your commercial, much higher. Trust me on that. But again, I would tell you to address it to the city themselves.
Well, I did email some of them just about this meeting because I wasn't on top of it. I didn't get a response. I wanted to know, I just wasn't sure what night it was. No one could even email me back.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Connie, on the SID time.
On the SID?
On the SID.
This is all about what I complained all along, by the person that business, whatever you call SIV. That's what we said it all along. We don't need extra tax bills. And we don't need somebody from nowhere to come and tell us how to decorate Main Street from 10,000 to 16 and pay so many buildings, pay the bills. We had it at Fort Belmar all over years, decorate Christmas, Easter, whatever it takes, beautiful, not cost extra tax bill. Please, kill that. I thought it was just right when we got first year, as Mrs. takes your place. Says, let's try one here, and continuous comes. We tired. We tired to pay more and more and more. Try to make the taxes go down. You can do it. Please kill the bill. I hate to see the bill come to me and force me to pay. Now, I come, Mr. Bryan, and no, I have a respect for all of you. You know that.
This is just on the special improvement district budget.
Oh, okay. So you let me know when.
I will let you know, I promise.
Okay. Kill the bill.
Yes, Dave.
David Schneck, 306 C Street. I just want to address something you said, well, two things, but something you said to Mr. Harris. You know, Mr. Harris, I believe that's legitimate gripe that businesses that are not involved in any way in tourism and do not really get any kind of real benefit from having the SID are still being assessed at 100% value. And you told them, well, you should take that up with the SID, but still, if you're going to vote to authorize that tax being levied on Mr. Harris, you have a responsibility to address his concerns about the lack of common sense about how people are being assessed. And you can't just tell them, in my opinion, to just talk to them, because number one, he said he has tried to talk to them about it and hasn't gotten a satisfactory answer. So, and number two, he has a right to be left alone. He doesn't, he shouldn't have to be going to SID meetings and pleading his case. If he just wants to be there on 12th Avenue, and run his business, he keeps his business nice, doesn't bother anybody, his neighbors don't have any complaints, his customers don't have any complaints, pays his taxes. The man has a right to be left alone and not have to be dragged to meetings that are turning out to be futile anyway, because he's not getting any kind of proper response to his problem. So I really think that you can't just say, well, take that up with the SID. That's your responsibility. You're voting to levy this tax on that person. And I'm not going to totally discount the value of the SID. I know the SID does some things, the benches and some of that stuff looks nice. But where you lose me is when you pull out the gun, because when you have to use, if you want to get to the moral truth of an issue, one of the first places to look is someone using a gun. Because if someone's using a gun, that's an indication that right is not on their side. Because people will voluntarily, he's not a man that force should be used against. And using force against a peaceful, honest citizen, that's a problem, And certainly times when, for essential services, that we all share the burden equally, but this is really unequal protection of law, because you're calling on certain people just because of what they do for a living to pay more, So, everybody wants the potholes fixed, the streets cleaned, and everything to be kept nice, and so that's the responsibility of the town, that's the responsibility of everybody, every citizen, every property owner, and to put an additional burden on a particular group of people, and they don't even have proper representation, because they can't even, many of them don't live in Belmar, they can't vote here, they're being taxed without being represented by somebody on the council, and so we should be very careful that we don't take unfair advantage of that situation and overtax people that aren't properly represented here. And even the people that live in Belmar, it's a very small number of people compared to the total number of votes, so they really don't have the opportunity to influence this body, you know, so really, please, just make the SID voluntary. You don't have to get rid of it, but if somebody doesn't want to be in an organization, you have a right to be in organizations you want to be and not be in an organization you don't want to be in, and to freely associate and not associate based on your own, what you want. So please, I'm asking you, keep it voluntary, put the gun away, and, you know, just, let's not use force against our businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public hearing for this? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say
No,
something
come up
about
front with your name and address for our records.
How you doing?
Good.
Been away. How y'all? Everybody okay?
Name and address for the record.
Patricia Correa, Realty Ocean Avenue. So just a comment, I think I remember when the city was put together, I don't think you were involved at the beginning. But the mayor was Pringle and the council voted on it. So saying that you have nothing to do with it really is not correct. So I'm gonna tell you what to do, but if there is a problem, you know, with one of the sit owners, and I was just talking to the bed and breakfast guy back there a little bit about it, and just, maybe you should just hold off on approving the budget. So you've been on, you're on the city council, you're there on the city level, you've been there. So I'd just like to hear what you would have to say about that, if there's anybody else who has that problem or concern about the city.
I mean, I do not speak to the business owners directly, I mean, such as his comment, you know, I'm surprised that he's saying that nobody's gotten back in touch with him. You know, is he required to go to the meetings that are held? No, but I would hope that there's communication between them so that it is addressed. You know, if there are some ideas, I mean, I think it would be great to get the group together and consider them. But it's not, I'm kind of liaison, I certainly don't vote, so.
You're there and you get an idea what kind of business is going back and forth and what they're doing.
Correct.
So the other thing is about this taxes on businesses. And Matt, you mentioned that residential taxes are higher than business taxes. Somehow that has something to do with people paying less percentage in the residential area.
Residential valuation.
Say it again?
The valuation of a residential property is higher than commercial.
Right, okay. So I believe, and it may be different now, but I moved here in 2000 and Ken Pringle was mayor. And the big push on getting Main Street going and the businesses going and making money was to take some of that burden off the residential people in Belmar and put it on the businesses. So if you have a thriving business and they're making a lot of money, then it's worth more money. And residential, people who are residents don't have to pay as much. They can be reassessed, they can pay their fair share, because that's what I thought we were building up Main Street for. And I think it's kind of working now. It was really slow for the past 14 years, probably 20 years. But now the business is going. I mean, I think you guys are doing a good job. I see building where Havens and Hampton was. So now I got this SID, and gentleman back there was telling me, so it's looking pretty good, Main Street's looking good, and he's getting people telling him, Main Street's looking good, I want to come into Main Street in Belmar. I mean, if we had something like Red Bank, which is highly possible, then, you know, some of this burden can be taken off of the residents. I mean, we're here all the time. We get people coming in the summer, and that's great, you know, and that helps us out. But if we have full-time help on our taxes, I know there's a lot of people, everybody says they pay too much taxes. If you can take a little burden off everybody, you know, that's good for us, good for you, good for the town. So just, you know, you mentioned residential taxes and the business taxes, and You do have something to say about this budget. You passed the whole SID in the first place, so I think that you're doing well, and you should keep taking responsibility for what this town does. And Ms. Nicolay, you know, as the liaison, you can maybe reach out to this guy and just tell him, yeah, we care, because we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Tom.
Yes, Tom Burke, 608 10th Avenue. I guess Mayor and Council are familiar that I did submit my two-page report on my assessment of candidates for the record. I'd like to acknowledge that, and I know that PBP made a response to that. I acknowledge that I read it and sort of concur with what they have to say. But what I noticed here, and it goes hand in hand with your comment on the throwing out of the Seaport redevelopment and the new one, is an item in here on one of the Business Development Committee calling for a parking summit. Now, I realize that parking would be addressed through the panel that you're proposing for redevelopment. The parking would certainly be a big issue on that. However, I think business people in this town are in a position to understand perhaps the parking issues in town better than perhaps some of the other people that might be involved in the committee. So I would strongly endorse supporting the concept of this parking summit as proposed by the BBP. There are ways, and I know money is an issue on parking, you know, how you parking garage, how you build a parking garage, not any money. There are innovative ways that we can come up with that I know business people have in mind to help resolve some of the parking problems. And the one of them you brought up at the planning board meeting last week was parking on the far pier for part of the parking at the Chess International Building and Arena. There are other things that people have in mind that will cost virtually nothing, but it's a matter of everybody understanding. So I strongly encourage you to consider supporting this as a separate item from the overall redevelopment package, even though I know the redevelopment will also address the parking. Thank you.
Seeing no one else, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, but again, we're not voting on the budget tonight. It'll have to come in the form of resolution. Dan, in theory, would allow for more public comment, but I don't know what more public comment we have on it, but we got that on the resolution calendar, so.
Is there a second? Second. Council President McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keelan Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. That concludes public hearing. Next is public session. Public session, very simple. It's actually, and this is one of the things I learned at the League of Municipalities. Not that we've been doing it wrong, but really it's a public comment. So if you have public comment, just raise your hand, wait to be called on, come up front. Everyone gets 5 minutes. Talk about whatever you like. Hopefully you keep it on things in Belmar, but evidently by law you can talk about the pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training if you like, and how that makes you feel. But it's not designed as a question and answer period. This is not a time for us on the dais to make comments. It's public comment. Again, whatever you like to say, you can say. If you do have questions, then the business manager will take down your questions. As long as you give her a way to get back to you, either a phone call or email. So again, for public comment, Connie, I know you've been itching to come up here, so.
I have to mention my name, address, and everything again. Gonzalo Porras, 1002 Main Street, Belmar.
Talk about whatever you like.
I just heard so many times here and bothers me. Whatever happens, as I say, I know you, we was neighbors back in 70s. Chief, I know as an officer, whatever, 30 years. Some other people, maybe more. You guys, I don't make a favor. What I'm saying, that's what I say that, or did. But please, when we talk for public sessions, or we asking questions to you, me or anybody. We don't mean mad to make you feel like we attack you. It's only questions. He asking for where the money went. I guarantee everybody, he was not meaning way to accuse Kelly or you or anybody that you take the money and just throw whatever you please. Pay some kind of consideration and be more calm. Respect this person. This person is a family person. I'm so sure that they respect everybody. And I want to hear no attack, not not anybody else makes questions. Because you're a government body. And people, you represent the taxpayers. And if taxpayers ask you, and you offend yourselves, don't do it. We don't do that to harm you. We just do for questions and have some answers if you can. If you don't be upset on one another. It's not worth it. Okay? Luke?
Luke Thielen, 15th Avenue. On behalf of my wife and the United Methodist Church, we would like to extend the invitation to the mayor and council, to all residents. The church is going to have a rededication on the 15th of March from 1, I think it's 5, I'm not sure. Last council meeting, I asked Councilman McGovern if it could be put on the website, but we didn't have the time. I gave it to April, so it's March the 15th, between the hours of 1 and 5 or 6. You're going to have a rededication of the church. I think the bishop's going to be there. They would like you people to come to see what they have done. They've come, excuse my language, a hell of a long way. I don't know if any of you got into it after the storm, but I sure did. They had over 5.5 feet of water.